Hello and welcome, and we're really happy that you're here and joined us to our final lecture of our Planetary Health Academy and the one on the transformative examples. So you will get 13 totally different examples of actions towards planetary health. Wow, today is like a bumpy day, sorry for that. But before we're going to start with all the examples, we have a short Mentimeter for you. And if you don't know what that is, it's a tool where you can put in your answers. And the question we have for you is, what is one thing that you take away from the Planetary Health Academy or the last weeks you tuned in? Because during the last weeks you were introduced to the basics of planetary health. In the first lecture we had Melvin, Martin and Samuel giving you an introduction, but we also had like various kinds of different perspectives, like for example the ethics, the planetary health pledge, the sense of feasibility from Kai, women empowerment, but also the perspective from the global south, and also how transformation can be done in cities and how that can lead to a more sustainable life. So yeah, go to menti.com and there's the code. It should also be in the chat, and then we will see the word cloud in a second, actually, showing us all your different impressions. I'm not sure if Felix already has something to share. Otherwise, because there's also the evaluation form, Sophie created it. We're really happy because in case you wonder if there's going to be a second round or another round in English of the Planetary Health Academy, we can say yes, indeed, of course. And you're really, you're welcome to join. You're also welcome to get it accredited at your university, because that's what we've done at several universities in Germany. In case you have any questions, just let us know, but we really would like you to support us. And then we have the word cloud now. So I can stop for a second. A lot of motivation and action. That's really good, Martin, I think, because like we stick to our guiding principle from knowledge to action. Cool, feel free to enter something if you want to. We'll let it open a little bit longer. But yeah, for the rest, I think we'll just give it a start because we have so many amazing examples. And so that we don't get into time troubles, let's start, and I'll hand over to Martin.
So welcome also from my side. I'm very excited for today because what we'll see is just some representations and examples of what is happening in our large growing network around the globe. And what I see with many players, we are going deeper, we are getting more ambitious, we are learning more, we are in a steep learning curve. We are building new partnerships, and you will see examples from individuals, from groups, from medium-sized organizations, and from huge organizations taking on what we are all about to make this change happening that we need to do in order to save our planet, our wonderful planet. So we start with a few examples which are more related to the topic of education, and I hand over directly to Paula. Paula, please.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Paula Schwenke. I'm studying at the LMU in Munich Public Health, and I will tell you something about how I established a planetary health course here in the LMU. So what brought me to start a course like this? I was already very interested and active in the field of planetary health, and in my master's, I was a student representative, so I got the chance to go to a conference with the professors from the LMU and take in ideas from the students for new courses and classes and the change of the curriculum. So I talked about planetary health and how important it would be to enter this in the curriculum, and they were also very, or they thought it would be a very nice idea and asked me if I want to organize it right away. So I got a student job and So now I'm organizing this course. And the implementation, here you see the program. It's in German apparently, but just, yeah, that you see how many dates we had and what topics. So at first I started with conducting a survey within the students just to see what they are interested in most, what is most relevant. Then I looked for speakers and also then, yeah, created a program out of it. And of course, I tried to write a course concept with the achievements, what the students will get, the guidelines for those who want to take it as an elective with 3 ECTS and a grade. Yeah, and this course concept we integrated in the curriculum of my master, but also we promoted the course, of course, to other faculties. So now also medical students can choose it, or epidemiologic students. So yeah, we try to open it up for more faculties. Yeah, and also I promoted the course via email lists. So you can just ask in your universities. Mostly they have lists where you can spread information, so also the website, or of course social media or your private groups. Yeah, so as you can see, I was quite lucky how I could enter into the university. My obstacles were mostly also about the communication, about yeah, to implement it in different faculties. But the most important thing I would tell you is always to follow up. Don't hesitate to just ask and just start it and do it, because mostly you will get a friendly answer, or you will get an answer also from the speakers. Yeah, so now how is it working so far? It worked quite good. I'm now organizing already the 3rd semester from this course. So yeah, we already made a year now. We always had between 50 and 200 participants. So the interest is quite good. And also we, of course, want to establish it in other faculties, as I already said. And what else I try to do at the moment is to, of course, constantly improve the didactic methods online. It's always, there are so many online courses, so that you have to try to just be creative. And also I try to establish a consistent pool of speakers, so that you don't always have to begin from the scratch. So you have some people who know you and to know the course. And also we try to add it to the Virtuelle Hochschule Bayern. This is an online platform with a lot of universities where is a collection of online courses. And it would be also nice to add it to this, to just spread it more further. Yeah, so that was a very short introduction to how I establish it. So don't hesitate to contact me if you have further questions, or if you have any ideas. And thank you very much for listening. So I will stop my screen sharing. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Paula. Great example. And I hand over to Given Moonga. Given is one of the core team members of the Planetary Health Eastern African Hub. And he will talk about all the things that are emerging in Zambia, his home country. Given, please.
Thank you, Martin, and I'm excited to join all of you here, especially that we have now an English series of these lectures. So yeah, I'm Given Moonga from Zambia, but I'm also a PhD student at the Center for International Health in Germany. And so a lot of things are emerging here in Zambia, and it's exciting for me because I haven't really been active in issues of climate change and health for a long time, actively engaging. For a long time, I've just been more of a scientist providing data, but now I'm actively engaging in activities to do with climate change and health. And within the past 1 year that I've actively been involved, so many opportunities are opening up, and so many collaborations and activities are opening up. And so in Zambia, we are now working with one group of medical personnel. It's Ebenezer Medical Mission. Really, we established this mission group as former students from a medical school and now professionals with specialties in different fields. And this is an organization that has been running for the past 5 years. And with now the interests and opportunities that I see in planetary health, I shared the idea that we could do much more together. And now the organization, the mission group now has gone on flat out to sensitize the communities and all that. So we offer medical services, health services, and as we go for outreach. But more than that, we also now include this aspect of climate change in health. Also, in medical school, where I'm attached in Zambia, I shared these ideas that for a long time in medical training, we don't emphasize so much on issues of climate change, planetary health at all. And so we are now beginning to have this conversation where we will include these topics in the medical school curriculum training. But already this has been embraced by the School of Public Health, where now postgraduate students have topics that are really into climate change and health. I'm also excited to mention that because of these collaborations and these ideas that I've been sharing with my home university here in Zambia, now there will be a couple of students that will join the module that is being offered in Munich at the Center for International Health. So already there will be students that will join into this lecture series. Also, Martin mentioned, as he was introducing me, that we do work as we have established the Eastern African Hub. And it was exciting to see that actually there are a lot of other people within Africa, the Global South, who are equally interested and they see the need for urgent action with respect to addressing the threats to our planet. And you see, when you're working in isolation alone, you may feel this sense of real isolation and littleness. But joining this network gave me courage, gave me hope to see that there are many more other people that are equally interested. And we had series of lectures where we had a lot of experts coming in to discuss issues of planetary health. And this was summed up with 2 workshops where we got together and began to brainstorm, to talk to each other and see what we could do as Global South. I think for a long time, the Global South tends to lag behind in terms of its engagement to addressing global issues. So they're more on the receiving side of technology and knowledge altogether. But now I think we are organizing ourselves to do much more, to begin to do activities, to begin to see what we could do in the Global South as a way of contributing to addressing the issues that affect our planet. And so within the 1 year, I mentioned 1 year because for me, the game changer was about March last year when I joined a climate change and health course. And I'm happy to mention that it was really run by Martin and other experts that came through. That really was a game changer. And beyond being a scientist who would provide models and all indicating how the temperatures are changing and all these threats, then I realized that there's a gap beyond having this knowledge and actually being effectively engaged in activities and all. And so it's been an exciting 1 year, despite the pandemic that has hit all of us, that now I begin to see that each one of us can contribute. Each one of us can do something about this. And all these activities, all these collaborations, all of us can participate. They can culminate into something much bigger. And this is urgent. I think we all agree with that. So thank you very much. That is what I'm going to share today about the Southern African part of this movement.
Thank you very much, Given, and I'm very excited that the partnership with you and all the other colleagues in Africa will continue and deepen, and we'll do more work together in the future. So I hand over to Marie. Marie, it's your turn.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Marie. I'm a medical student at the University of Freiburg, which is in southern Germany. Thank you very much for the invitation to speak here. I myself only got involved in planetary health like a year ago with our newly founded Health for Future local group. And at the time, most of us didn't know much about this topic. We were just starting to learn about it. But where we did not learn about it was at university. And that's what we wanted to change. So the idea was to get people interested in planetary health who were not already involved in it in their free time. And since we ourselves were not experts on the topic yet, we thought it would be great to get the upcoming Planetary Health Academy of last year accredited as an elective. The only problem was we had like a week left until the first lecture. But still, we just gave it a go and wrote an email to a teacher here and a general practitioner. And we asked her if she could imagine to supervise the Planetary Health Academy as a clinical elective. And she actually responded the same day, very positively, saying that she'd love to be a part of this and supervise it. And then from there, it was quite easy for us. We just sorted out the formalities with the faculty and shared on social media and to all the contacts we have that this is happening, that this is an elective now. And actually over 60 students registered for it, which was for us, overwhelming answer. And they all saw the lecture last year and did final projects on it. And some of them were very creative. So now is already the second term that this lecture here is actually part of the course of studies where I study medicine. And I think one of the many advantages of the Planetary Health Academy is that it's easier for professors to supervise something that's already existing, like this lecture series, than it is to creating something new from their own. So I think what we did is just should be encouraging to everyone to, if you have an idea, just give it a go, no matter if it's big or small. And sometimes just writing an email can actually turn out to be part of this transformative action thing now. That's basically it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Marie. Great contribution. And it's one of many examples where one of us has tried something out that was an impossible time scale. We are kind of specializing in doing impossible time scales. And that's a wonderful example of how this can emerge. So we move over to a second group, and we will start now with an individual, then go to quite a large organization, and then go to a huge organization. So we go from small to huge, and then we go to the other side of the globe. So we start with Max. Max, please.
Yeah, hello. I'm Max Bürck-Germassmer. I'm a general practitioner in central Berlin. Yeah, I hurry up because I've got little time. The climate crisis, the crossing of planetary boundaries, and the corona pandemic all have a big and increasing impact on our work as GPs. The corona pandemic has significantly changed our daily work. But even before the pandemic, for years, we have experienced that the threats of climate crisis increasingly influences our daily work in general medicine. I would like to share you some aspects and ideas about this with the help of two examples. For years, we have observed that not only psychologically vulnerable patients have increasing difficulties to cope with the multiple demands on their resilience and the great uncertainty combined with this crisis. Excuse my English, I'm not a native speaker. Many patients in family practice are unable to categorize the uncertainty. Many patients in family practice are unable to categorize the uncertainty they experience. They feel overwhelmed, they experience a loss of self-efficacy, or develop symptoms of exhaustion, despair, or even apparent mental illness. My experience is in some special cases at least, where patients often can't understand what had happened to them. It is helpful to make clear that their feelings of insecurity and of feeling threatened are not crazy. As general practitioners, we have trusting relationship with our patients, and we often accompany them for many years. A lot of patients experience a great relief when we make it clear that their worries on the background of this crisis, or the lack of social security, are quite justified and are also shared by us. I believe that it can be a great relief if patients experience that they are not alone with their fears and worries, and that we can look for solutions together. We can help patients in many cases if we put individual treatment in a larger context of society and planetary aspects. A second example, as general practitioners, we do risk assessment and counseling for a lot of our patients. For example, in the context of cardiovascular prevention. A very important area of prevention is behavior change, especially non-smoking, active exercise, or plant-based diets. Active exercise is one of the best examples for a win-win situation. With the risk calculation and counseling tool Ariba, a tool we use quite often in Germany, we can show the objective benefit and the active exercise by reducing, we can show the objective benefit of active exercise by reducing cardiovascular risk to the individual patient. At the same time, we can motivate the patient to work together towards a better pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure. A transport infrastructure that puts active movement at the center is safer, favors local recreation areas, and can promote neighborhood and community development through urban planning measures. If this succeeds, it will have a repercussive effect, and people will again prefer to get on their bicycles and walk longer distances. There are other win-win opportunities we could talk about, such as heat mitigation, plant-based diet, or reducing air pollution. The integration of knowledge about the important aspect of public and planetary health into our everyday GP work is a work in process. We are still in the early stages of development. Important next steps are making further experiences in our practices. A goal might be to develop tools which we can implement into a medical education and advanced training for medical students, doctors, and other medical professions. I hope we will get some support of the institutes of general medicine, and we can develop these tools in the future. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. It's a great example of sharing kind of the deepening of the practice. And it is important for all of us to know that really hundreds of general practitioners are now in these early phases of putting it into practice, of learning from each other and seeing how we can make this work then on a larger scale and how we also can educate others. Thank you very much, Max. I hand over to Christian. Please, Christian.
Yes, thank you very much, Martin. Yes, I speak from Berlin in Hospital Höhe, and I'm very happy that, thank you very much to the organizers to tell a little bit about our project and our idea to go on the way to a net zero hospital. And I have compiled a few slides that I want to show you, and I would like to make a little advertising with you to start similar projects. Therefore, I've overwritten the slides with hospitals as change agents. Yes, and We are a hospital with 900 employees in the public health system of Germany, with 400 beds and 40,000 patients annually. And we are a small group with Health for Future goals, and we are far too few to stop the climate change, a lot of people in our group first said. And on the other hand, we have to say to ourselves, 5% of the climate crisis is caused by us in our healthcare system. So we are climate offenders and not only victims. And this very shocking insight was the inner energy to come in a force and to start with this project. And the second point is that we are a special hospital for integrative medicine, and we believe that medicine should always take into account the whole person, physiological, psychological, and spiritual dimensions. We believe that this also requires a culture change to an ecological medicine itself, because the Earth is also a living system. We see planetary health as a basis for a medicine in the future. And you see there where we stay in Berlin at the side of the big city in Germany and on the river Havel, and it's a very nice place there. But we also are part of these 5% of the climate problem with our hospital. And so with this shocking insight, we started, and we realized to come to a change, we have to understood the dramatic nature of the climate crisis. We decided after many years of small steps to draw new conclusions. We have to act like a medical emergency. And from this case, we think about that, and we said the mean clear process is important, and the prioritization of the essentials. And what does this mean for an organization like an hospital? As complicated organization structure. And the surprising answer for us was that the first step is to do naive questions. For example, naive questions how our technique organizations. For example, to ask how is our energy fountain? What it is it gas? Is it oil? This basically questions are necessary because we as physicians, we don't know that normally. And the second can be, can we switch from oil to gas? Can we demand expert opinions to photovoltaic, and all this we can ask? This must be the first step. And we have these slowly steps about the last years, and you see in this slide these slow steps. It was successful because we came to the decreasing of CO2 emission from 70% from more than 6,000 tons per year to less than 2,000 tons per year. And also a naive question from us could be to ask the technical group, how many CO2 emissions did we have? Normally we don't know it, and so other people have to answer us this basically question, and so important question. And so we come to these next steps, and we began to say we want to have 100% green electricity, and we want to come in the next future to regional energy productions as much as possible through our own production. And we call this scope 2, and we work together today in this scope 2, but it's not all. We have to find the next steps in the near future all other indirect emissions arising from the production and transport of goods and service, including the entire supply chain, has to come in this changement. And you can see from the NHS, this slide they have written in the last time there, this scope 3 is the importance and begins work for us to come in the change that we as hospitals have to change all these co-workers and partners to zero emission. And we came to the understanding that the insight of a modern organizational development provide an important foundation of achieve the necessary transformation in our hospital. And this culture from emergency work to changing to a work culture in our company, we can learn from other organizations. And you see here some examples from Otto Scharmer or Frédéric Laloux or this biodynamics, where we can learn from to change our organizations for our group, because this scope 3 question has to require us to develop a different culture in our dealings with nature and with each other in the organization. And in this considerate opinion, we should to ask what is the first and what is the next step where you can ask, where can I start in a way to this? And I would say it doesn't matter where you start, since everything is connected to everything else. The only important thing is that you start. And in emergency medicine, a typical way, a clear order of actions emerges. And you see here our table of activity in the last time, the blues table, you see where we go forward in the leadership question, the energy question, in the food question, but there are also white slides, and we have a lot of things to do. And in many questions, we have no idea yet how we will be successful, but we are confident that we will find the right solution along the way. We have to go these steps. This is so important. And our, we can say our wishful thinking were that we come to a collective group in Germany or in Europe, in the whole world, hospitals who go of this zero emission way and are a little bit a lighthouse to this changement. And we try in Germany at the moment to come together all hospitals, and we want to found more hospitals in the next months that they want to follow this way, and then we have more force together to go this way. And in summary, I would say the knowledge of physiology, emergency medicine, and organizational development can lead to an effective climate change in the health system. And hospitals are suitable to take a pioneering role of zero CO2 emission projects due to the spatial relationship between the human and the earth. And so we have a slogan written, emergency measure is zero emission hospitals transform. We hope for a pandemic spread of knowledge. Then without the health of the earth, there is no health of the people. And if you want to see more from us, you can click this link for we have started with the kickoff meeting last autumn. And if you have questions about this, where you can write a mail to us, there is the mail address from healthforfuture@havelhöhe.de. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Christian, for this great example of starting to be a lighthouse and be an infectious positive disease. Not a disease, a positive infection. So I hand over to Thomas Diekamp, much larger organization than the already large one from Christian. Thomas, please.
I'm Thomas Diekamp, and I'm working as a policy officer for climate protection in the headquarters in Berlin. First of all, I want to tell you what is the AWO and in which fields we are doing our work. Felix, can you change the slide, please? What is the Arbeiterwohlfahrt? We are one of the 6 central associations of the Freie Wohlfahrtspflege. It's, when we translate it, it's non-statutory welfare organizations, and represent the political interests of people who alone cannot get their voices heard. But we also do, let's say, we also do business. We give them advice, provide assistance, encourage them and strengthen them. But we do this on a very strong value basis, because our 5 values are solidarity, tolerance, freedom, equality, and justice. And I think these values can be seen as the values of Health for Future maybe too. So we are very similar. And our overall goal is to improve the quality of life of people who are in danger or feel weak or are in danger of falling through the social net. Can you please go to the next slide? Yeah, and this is why we are such a large organization, and Martin introduced us like the huge organization. We have more than 22,000 employees and 220,000 employees, and we run our business all over Germany, and we do this in 18,000 social institutions, such like kindergarten, nursing homes, or for example, advice centers for migrants, or homes for disabled persons. So in all fields of social work, we are doing our business and our work. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, as I said, we do our work in the social field, but in 2012, we started to think about our ecological aspects of our work. And this is why we started to develop a carbon footprint for nursing homes and also for kindergarten. And in 2018, we started this project to do climate protection in 40 nursing homes all over Germany. And the first thing we did was to establish the carbon footprint for all 40 nursing homes. This is a footprint from a nursing home in Bavaria. And as you can see, the food is the main reason for emissions of a nursing home. And food is also a good example where you can address ecological aspects, but also health aspects. And we are very happy to start a new project in March, where we have the opportunity to scale the whole approach for 90 new nursing homes, and working with the other nursing homes from the first project too. And we want to strengthen the knowledge building, the collaboration with other partners, and all this stuff. And we are very happy to start in March. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, but we also noticed that we do have to start dealing with the topic climate adaptation and thinking about what does the climate crisis, what are the consequences of the climate crisis for the people we are working with, because the people we are working with are, let's say, the most vulnerable people in the society. And our aim is to increase the life quality of these people. And now we have to start questions like, what does the climate crisis means to our clients, and how can we support them getting along with the consequences of the climate crisis? And we see our institutions in all the cities in Germany as a good starting point, because they are inclusive, they are open for the whole quarter, and they are part of the quarter. So this is a good starting point, working together with other organizations and all the people around these institutions to find out how can we support our clients in the best way to deal with all the consequences resulting from the climate crisis. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, as I said before, we do this on the very strong value basis. In the words of our founder, Marie Juchacz, the first woman who spoke in a German parliament, the strong should stand up for the weak, for the good of the whole. And this is our spirit we are working in, and we are happy to cooperate with organizations like Klug or many other partners who are thinking in the same way to fight for a better world as we do since 100 years. Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, if you want to contact me, I think Sylvia and Martin have my contact details, so don't hesitate to contact them.
Thank you very much, Thomas. It's an example where we just had the first conversation some time ago. It's not very long, and we are building now a partnership. We work together on this, and we will especially also focus on working within cities and within kind of districts within cities to get work done with people and with partners like you. Sylvia, you move on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Thomas, as well. I'm now handing over to, as you said, to an example from the other side of the globe, to Mahardika and Maria, because they actually contacted us also like through the buddy program. And also, if you're interested to connect with other people, you can still write us and maybe we can connect you with someone. That's what Hannah and Felix do normally. But yeah, we'll hand over to Mahardika and Maria because they have a really interesting example of how to not only reduce your own climate footprint, but also preserve the nature that already exists. Because in our first lecture series, we actually also learned like how important it is to protect the nature that is already there. And I will hand over to the two of you.
Yeah, so hello everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to the organizer. I'm Mahardika. I'm actually the former Astrid's program director, and now I'm working as a program and research consultant for the organizations. Today, I'm going to give a presentations about how to save a rainforest with a stethoscope. So it's very intriguing title. Sorry. Yeah, our organization's called Alam Sehat Lestari or ASRI, located in Indonesia. It's actually midnight here, so almost midnight. So we're located in the island of Borneo, in west in the part of Indonesia. We call it Kalimantan, next to Gunung Palung National Park. When our founders came to Indonesia in 1980, she studied about biology and orangutan, and then what she found was, she could hear the chainsaw sound in the forest, and she realizing that the forest almost disappearing around her, and then she very intrigued with the questions and why I tried to understand why all of these people were logging, and then she started to going around from one communities to other communities and ask these communities why are they logging, and then she realizes that many people log because they need to pay for healthcare. And then she came back to the United States and then began to study a medical degree. And then when she finalizes her medical degree, she went back to Indonesia and then start radical listening throughout the communities that live border with the national park. And then radical listening is actually key to our model. Listening is something that's missing nowadays. When we talk to people, when we try to understand the root cause of the problem, we sometimes forgot to listen. And then this is what we did with the community around Gunung Palung National Park. So even before we begin our program, so we understand that community are the expert and know the solutions. And then when we go around these communities, try to ask them, try to understand what is the root cause of the problem, why are they logging? We ask them and then put them as an experts when we ask them. We ask them one question: what do you need in order to stop logging and live in harmony with the rainforest. And then at the time, they asking for two things. They asked for high quality, affordable healthcare, and they asked for training in organic farming. So we try to tie them with an agreement. If we agree to, provide them with high quality and affordable healthcare and also training in organic farming, what will they do in returns? So they promise that they will protect the forest in return for the implementations of the agreed upon solutions. And then we do the implementations together. What very interesting from radical listening and from the solutions that we heard from the community is that they address very complex interconnectedness as the root of the cause of the logging. So they didn't see this as the medical problem. They didn't see this as a conservation problem or economic issues. They see that it's connected, towards each other. They understand the existence of the forest. If there's no forest, then there will be no water run through their a paddy field, and if there's no water in their paddy field, then there will be no food on the table. So they understand these situations, and together with them, we try to build the trust with them, and then we work with them. And the two solutions that they mentioned in the beginning is actually the base principle of our programs. And now at our organizations, we have 4 major programs. We have conservations program, we have health program, we have planetary health educations, and we have replications program, as you can see on the table. And in relations with conservations and health, and as an answer to their questions about high quality and affordable healthcare, for high quality healthcare, we deliver a primary care, mobile clinic, DOTS program, laboratory. We build a clinic that runs as a hospital that the communities can come to and then get treated if they're sick. And then for affordable healthcare, we try to think what kind of payment that they can pay, even if they don't have money. So we came out with solutions of non-cash payments where our patients can pay with seeds, seedlings, manure, even handicraft. And even if they don't have any of this, they can pay with labor. They can work at our office or our clinic, and to pay for their healthcare. And this is just to show you the number of the seedlings that we receive from patients, and this number keep increasing. Just last year, we received about 28,000 seedlings, and this is contributed to 20% of the total seedlings that we planted last year. We also have a program, a so-called reforestation project. So we also plant all of the seedlings that we receive from our patients. We also developed the incentive systems. If you remember in the beginning, I mentioned about the reciprocity agreements that they agree to protect the forest. We try to monitor, what they've been promised that they will do. So there are several indicators that we monitor in every community. We monitor number of loggers, access logging point, wood pile point, illegal gardens, agricultural land, circle sowing machine, and then sawmill, and then put all of these indicators into a criteria. So if there are 3 to 7 indicators were found in the communities, then the communities were assigned to red category. It means that they will get 30% discounts of healthcare. And if only 1 to 3 indicators found, then they will get a 50% discount. And if there is no indicator to be found, it means that they are they're completely pro conservations, and they did what they said. They will get 70% discount. And there's also blue communities or village. This is have an MOU, but they are not living directly with the direct border with the national park. This is just the visualizations of the data that we have. As you can see here, the number of the village, how many green, how many red, how many yellow, and this number will be changing every 4 months because we did our monitor every 4 months. And when the patients comes to us, to our clinic, the patients will be asked for their identity. And then at the registration, the patient will show their identity and then show where they come from. And then the registrations person will then tell them, how many percent of the discount that they will get. And then, after they get treated by our doctor, and they will then go to our cashier, and then when they were asking how to pay, and then they can choose between cash and the non-cash payment systems. We recently been published on PNS. You can see more on our paper about our work in Indonesia and then how we compare our interventions to other national park that hasn't have intervention. And some of the major results from our paper is that our investment about $5.2 million is actually safe and protect worth 65 million carbon. And then by doing all of these interventions, we allow 20,000 hectares of secondary forest to regrown. And then it means that it helped to save and create more habitat for critically endangered Bornean orangutan. And our intervention shows that there are 90% drop in illegal logging. So when we started our program in 2007, we did a baseline survey, and it shows that around 1,400 illegal logging found in the national park. And then 5 years prior into the program, 5 years after the program runs, we found only 450 loggers left. And then 5 years after that, we only found 150 loggers left. So there are significant reduction in household loggers. It means that when they stop logging, it allows for a secondary forest to regrow. And we also see 67% drop in infant mortality compared to when we started our program. Other major impacts is that we bought the chainsaw machine that been used by the former loggers to cut down the trees. And this is correspond to the safety of more than 53,000 trees in the park. This is actually based on the predictions calculations, because every time we bought the chainsaw from the former loggers, we asked them, how many trees that they can cut per week using this chainsaw, and then they said on average it's around 5 to 6. And the chainsaw that we bought then will be changed into funds to support a new businesses that will provide a new sustainable livelihood for the former loggers. And in the future, we would like to scale our model to reach out more rainforest community. At the moment, we are replicating our model in our second site in Borneo as well. And our sister organizations based in the United States have now working with community in Madagascar and Brazil, also replicating our model from Indonesia. And also it's likely this year that we also expand to Indonesia, Papua with partnership with Forkline. And before I end my presentations, I will leave you with these questions. What is your part in creating a healthier future for us all? Because I believe strongly that every single one of us has a role to play, and I know together we can do it. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. And thank you for staying up so long as well. But I think it's a really, really interesting example. So it's been worth sharing it, I hope. And I think many people feel inspired because it's such a totally different approach, I think, to thinking healthcare and also thinking forest protection. So thank you very much, Mahardika. We will go on to the next block of topics, I would say, which is politics. Like, how can we engage in politics and to make politicians and all the laws that are put into action afterwards more sustainable and climate friendly? And I will hand over to Astrid and Norbert from Hamburg.
Yes, hello, thank you very much. I'm going to start. And first I'm going to start, thank you for doing this and giving the opportunity. My name is Astrid Polzer and I'm a physiotherapist from Hamburg, as well as I'm active in the activist movement of Health for Future in Hamburg. And right now I just have some time in between patients. I'm still at work in the praxis. And I'm going to talk about the actions that I took together with Norbert to talk directly with politicians about health and the climate crisis. If it's good that I'm still here in the praxis, because the beginning of my activism also had to do with the conversations I had with one patient of mine. He was in physiotherapy for quite some time and we had a lot of time to talk. And as he is a local conservative politician, and we had a lot of discussions about politics. And we had a lot of respect also in those discussions, but very different opinions. Those discussions were helping me to see and realize that I wanted and I had to become more active than just changing my own behavior and around myself. So, and as well as I learned also how constructive and inspiring and respectful a discussion, even though you have very different opinions, can be with a politician if it's based on listening. So for me, a big part of the answer of the transformation that we're all seeking, that's why we're here, is in politics. Or I believe that if the politicians will not take also actions, it's not going to be successful. So that's my motivation. It was there. I wanted to do more, but I didn't really know about where to start and how. That's why I took some looks in the parties that are in Germany, but nothing really fit right. And I joined the Health for Future network, where I learned a lot more about the topic of health and climate crisis. And I got access to information how to approach the politicians. I learned that it is best to approach the directly elected candidates of my zip code area here in Hamburg first, because I'm the one who will elect them. And I did that via email to ask for an appointment. And I also found information how to prepare and structure a meeting like this. But most importantly, I met Norbert, and I'm very thankful for that, because he wanted to join me on the conversation with a politician. And that's, yeah, well, I'm handing over now to Norbert, and because doing this together makes it much easier.
Thank you, Astrid. Yes, my name is Norbert Kamin, and I'm a physician and I work as a nephrologist in a dialysis unit in Hamburg. And as well as Astrid, I'm a member of the local Health for Future group. When Astrid asked for an accompaniment for a talk with a member of the parliament, and she already told us he's attached to the Conservative Party, I decided to do so. And at this point, I noticed that I left my comfort zone because I never had a training in rhetoric and did not know if my knowledge about all aspects of climate crisis would be sufficient enough to withstand the arguments of an experienced politician. One of the main thoughts to overcome this hurdle was that to be too shy to go into this meeting is not a good performance in front of my children, given the dramatical impact of the climate crisis and the consequences my children have to live with. So preparing the talk, Astrid and me studied the politician's career, his statements and interests, and if there might be some common ground. And during the talk, we avoided to attack him, even when we disagreed. But we talked about the consequences for individual and global health, not tackling the climate crisis successfully. And we tried to do it in a personal way. Even if we had the feeling that he took us seriously, we don't know if our talk led into something concrete. But he asked for more information concerning the climate crisis and health, especially the consequences for kidney diseases. And even if we had the feeling he took us seriously, so we tried to make a good talk with him. We think that talks like this are a good way to expand our activities, and because health is a very important topic on the political stage, as you can see the last year. And we hope that we can encourage the politicians to leave their own comfort zone and to make a step forward and possibly convince his or her colleagues and or spread some seeds as well. Thank you.
And I want to,
no, sorry.
I'm sorry. I wanted to add a couple of final points that I also believe that in Germany here we have a democracy, and the politicians, in order to get re-elected, I think they have to react to the public opinion, and that's what we were trying to do, because everyone has this barrier and these hurdles to take the step to approach the politicians, and they know it. That's why we also get treated with respect, and just showing them that this topic is so important that we overcame it means something. And as well as I wanted to add that our expectations are also realistic, and we don't expect that we change with one or two conversations the entire political viewpoint of a person, of a politician. But we still think it's essential to talk with the politicians because of two reasons. First, it is if many people start doing this and bring this topic to the agenda of the politicians, they have to give it more importance, and they know they have to do it to get elected again. And second, that sometimes, as Norbert also said already, there is a little seed planted in someone's mind. And by talking about it again and again with different people and stories, I imagine you water that seed, and one day there will be a plant and it grows, the idea of you. That's what we're hoping for. And yeah, I think how else can we expect that the politicians will then change their course of action if there's no pressure from us who are the ones who elect them? And thank you very much. Now I'm going to hand over.
Thank you very much. And especially, I think also the last sentence really pretty true. There was even like an American president who said, like, if to the people in America, if you want something, go to the street and ask me to do it. So I think you're totally right with your approach, actually. And then I will hand over to three people, Hannah, Alex, and Antje.
Hello, I'm Hannah. Thank you for having us. I am from the local Health for Future group in Mainz, which is the capital of Rheinland-Pfalz. And next month, there are going to be elections here. So most of us are from the health sector, and all of us think that healthy people can only live on a healthy planet. So therefore, we want to make an impact on the upcoming elections and raise awareness both among the politicians and among the electors. And in the next couple of minutes, I want to show you 3 ways on how we do it, even with the COVID-19 restrictions. Last week, we set up an intensive care unit for Mother Earth in front of the Parliament meeting conference. And as you can see in the middle, our patient, the Earth, needs a lot of medical treatment because she's really sick. And on the left, you can see that through that, we got to talk with the politicians and also with the pedestrians that were walking by. And we also invited some journalists so they could take pictures of us and report, and we could reach even more people through that. Another approach is to participate in election campaign events that are organized by the parties themselves. So we made a chart, as you can see, and we participate in the campaign events and ask the politicians on how they face the climate change and what they're doing against it. Here you can see pictures of another demonstration that we did. It was a so-called die-in, and as you can see, we were pretending to die in the city center to show how severe the impact of the climate change is on our health. So what really helped us was to connect with other groups like the Fridays for Future, the Scientists for Future, but also with local doctors. And together we did all those actions and events. And I would really love to encourage you to find like people around your area and make the next election at your place a climate change election as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. And I will go directly to Jonathan.
I'm Jonathan Lukenheimer from Architects for Future. We are another For Future group, and we have formed to promote knowledge about the impact of the building sector considering climate crisis. As many activists do not know, the largest share of global emissions is contributed by the building sector. It's way more than the transport sector or even agriculture. Just when we add up the sum of energy that we need for heating and also emissions that are made in factories where building materials are being produced. But only to look at this number, it doesn't even give a full picture of the whole impact that the building sector has when we look at the crisis that we're facing today. There are quite many aspects where bad architecture is related to health problems, health of our planet, and health of the people. One point is that the way we build our cities contributes to a microclimate which is unsuitable for heat waves in summer. Due to the sealing of the land, there's not much place where water may rest, and it can evaporate and cool down the local climate. And also the way we build buildings, of course, contributes to unbearable temperatures indoor, which may lead to earlier deaths for vulnerable people. Another point is that the choice of our materials causes many lung diseases because of toxic components that we use in glues, in coatings, in other chemicals like flame retardants and other chemicals that are in our building products. And another issue is that those bad building products can't be recycled because nobody wants to reuse toxic products. So there's often an issue that you can't really recycle them. And they end up in nature, either in the sea or in the forest, in landfills. This is another problem for our drinking water and the whole other living environment. And we as a group, as in Architects for Future, look at these things and do not only want to diminish, somehow make those impacts a bit smaller, but we rather think of a positive vision, how we actually want to contribute to a society that is more healthy, that is more beneficial in all of these aspects. So we want to turn this picture into green. Instead of having cities that are unsuitable modest living in hot summers, we want to contribute with our buildings to strengthen the resilience, so that the roofs may sustain water for a while to cool down the microclimate, which also gives the possibility to grow plants on top of the roofs, which is another, which also improves biodiversity in cities. Instead of making the air quality indoors worse than outdoors, we want to make it better than outdoors by using materials that have positive features that might regulate the moisture and the indoor temperature, and even be a buffer for toxic compounds in the air. And instead of planning buildings in a way that in which we create toxic waste, we want to build buildings in a way that are beneficial for the future generations, because they are material banks with valuable, precious materials that are constructed in a way that that things can be disassembled for further use instead of creating trash. So there are many good ideas out there to build better, but architects these days are facing harsh obstacles, which are very hard to overcome, because most of the time these better choices are a bit pricier when you first want to buy or build them. For some offices, there's a lack of knowledge, but this is not even the biggest point, because there is a lot of knowledge out there, but often those rather advanced new techniques do not fit into the German regulation system with all those norms, how things should be built. So individual architects who have good motivation to do things better often do not have the freedom to make a choice which is beneficial for the climate and for the health of the citizens. So what we have done as Architects for Future is that we started a petition which included several claims. I read to you some of them, like promote ecology, sustainable, healthy building materials. This means that there should be price regulations, that those materials that emit a lot of CO2 or other greenhouse gases and emit toxic compounds in the indoor air should be pricier, while good materials should be promoted. We want the German regulation system to ensure the circulatory capability of building materials. We want them to fully consider grey energy. This means the energy that is used for the production of the materials. About 8% of the whole emissions globally, worldwide, are due to the production of cement, which is about twice as much as air traffic. This is, when you look at the regulations nowadays, these factors are not taken into account. We want to minimize land sealing, preserve biodiversity. We want to avoid demolition and promote redevelopment of houses that are already built. There's no way to say, okay, we tear everything down and build everything anew, because the production of the materials is so has such a large environmental impact. So it should be way easier to take an old building and do a bit of renewal of some things. And we want to change the regulations there to make it easier. We want to integrate sustainability in education, that it's mandatory for architecture students to learn about all these issues. and we want to design in a way that meets the needs of the people and strengthens social urban planning. All those requests were sent in a list that could be signed online, and within a couple of weeks we've made it. Way more than 50,000 people have signed this petition, which was the line that needed to be crossed so that we will be heard at the German Parliament. And to look at this graph really should give you some insight that and some hope that we can change things. Just to let you know, Architects for Future has just been a group of young people who, some of them have been students or just at the beginning of the career, but soon we will send 2 of us at a hearing at the German Parliament, and official speakers of each political party will ask us questions. So they're really forced to deal with our claims. And this is a huge, this is quite a thing. But most of all, it's also good to see that so many people have been mobilized to think about these issues. The building industry has been kind of under the radar of environmental activists in the last years. It's not so sexy, building industry, but now that we've reached out to other influences, people are talking more and more about our claims, and yeah. With the help of influencers that, well, Luisa Neubauer started at this point here to help to spread our call to sign the petition, and many other influencers followed at that point. So with the help of other influencers and other For Future groups, it was possible to mobilize such a large amount of people and to create awareness for our topic. So I hope you can do something similar, and yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. What I think you can take out of this slide is like, look out in your peer group, like the people around you, if there's anybody who has some kind of influence, and try to get them on your side to bring your project forward. So now we're moving forward to the last and final block of actions. And we're a little bit in a time rush, but I think, yeah, I hope it's okay if we make it a little bit longer today, as there are like really so many examples, and we really want to make sure that in the end, after this lecture, you will have some sort of action that you think like, okay, I need to do this after this lecture. I'm going out of my room and directly starting this. So I will hand over to Julika and Blanka.
Hello, my name is Julika.
And I'm Blanka.
And we are 2 medical students, and we belong to the group of Health for Future Leipzig. And today we're going to talk especially about our work in the nutrition team. Around 1.5 years ago, we started thinking about the patients and hospital staff's nutrition and how it can also benefit planetary health and sustainability. That's why we took a look at the menu for patients at Leipzig University Hospital. And we noticed that the majority of the meals contain meat, and that there are no entirely plant-based options on the menu at all. And I guess, as we all know, the consumption of meat, and in particular factory farming, have a major impact on the climate change. Therefore, we set ourselves the goal of reducing the amount of meat-containing options. And also, we wanted to find out if the hospital already considered regional and seasonal food, and if they were open to help us in our fight against the climate crisis in general. And this is why we decided to contact the different people creating the menu. But a few days later, we got an answer and they invited us to a meeting with the hospital's nutrition team and the materials administration team. And at this meeting, they told us that the hospital gets its food from a food provider in Bochum, which is about 450 to 500 kilometers away from Leipzig, and uses cook and chill, which is a special procedure of defrosting food. This method leads to a minimum of food waste. Well, we know Bochum is not really local or regional, but still we were positively surprised by this information because we knew that food waste is or can be a big problem in some other hospitals. But they also told us that it wasn't really possible to offer regional and seasonal food because the hospital was, as they said, too big of a company. And we had to realize that there was no willingness to reduce the amount of menus containing meat. Although we had a lot of good arguments, they told us that such a big restriction would not be possible. And they mentioned some counter arguments like, what would your grandparents say if you forbade them their traditional dishes like the good old bratwurst? So you see, the willingness to change something wasn't really there.
Yeah, we had a few more meetings and we discussed a lot, and in the end we came up with a little compromise, I would say, which was that there would be one more vegetarian dish per week and more vegetarian salad options, but they weren't interested in offering a completely plant-based option at all. So after all these meetings, we felt that there was nothing more we could do at this point. So that's why we thought about other ways to raise awareness about this issue in the hospital. So we decided to contact the person responsible for the newspaper. And yeah, I think she was impressed by our ambitions and showed a lot of interest. And she offered us to write an article in the newspaper. So yeah, in this article, we talked about the impact of food choices on climate change. And we included some plant-based, seasonal, regional recipes. And we tried to use for these recipes really regular ingredients to show that it isn't as complicated as many people think it is. So yeah, this article was followed by another similar article. And yet this moment we plan to establish a series in the newspaper. So yeah, we hope that we can raise awareness about this really important cause of our actions and our articles. And we also hope that we can find more ways to make a change. So the last year has shown us that a lot of people feel really attacked on a personal level when you try to talk with them about their eating habits. And yeah, they are not willing to discuss them. And yeah, but we still had some positive experiences with people who liked the idea to working with us and yeah, showed a lot of interest and offered new opportunities. So in conclusion, I would say that it's probably still a long way to go, but we have already taken the first steps. So if you have more ideas for a group or some other things concerning nutrition, we would really love to hear from you. And yeah, I think we will write our email in the chat so that you can contact us. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to the two of you. So, and if you think like I'm not a huge writing person, Vanessa is presenting you another option of engaging in climate action.
Hello, good evening. My name is Vanessa. Thanks for having me here today. I'm a medical student and I'm a Health for Future activist in Aachen, the hometown of my university. And we are a group of mostly medical students. And we've been participating in many demonstrations from Fridays for Future, for example, and we went there with our white coats and show presence as the health sector. And then last year at one point we thought, well, we also would like to organize a demonstration maybe to show our city or to show the impact, also the consequences on health of the climate crisis, as this was never a topic in the demonstrations and also people were not really aware what was our experience. So yes, we decided to organize something, and we thought what would be a nice topic, what could be the goal of the demonstration, and then we thought one of the most direct consequences also in our city, in our lives, is heat. And so we organized the demonstration, Our City is on Fire. And I brought some pictures with you I want to share with you so you can get a better idea of how the event was. So we did a whole bunch of PR, and in the end we actually also invited Dr. Eckhard von Hirschhausen, which made our demonstration then very fast, very big. And yeah, so that was one of the pillars of our event. We made a theater sketch with the Mother Earth coming to a doctor as a patient and complaining about having fever, feeling bad and having weakness. And it was a really funny way to show people what symptoms are and also how severe the situation is. And in the end, the therapy was our prescription of the diagnosis having a heat stroke and calling upon rehabilitation with the Paris Climate Agreement. And another really nice media event was then how can we make heat visible also later in pictures, and how can we really get this message? So this was another event then on the demonstration. We made an ice bucket challenge where we as medical students stand there, and it was a really, really hot day. So weather was in our favor, was like nearly 40 degrees, and people could really see that it's a problem there. And this in the end also was a picture ended up in the newspaper. And yeah, this is another group photo of us. So it was a really nice event. In the end, we were about 700 people attending. And what are the messages we got out from organizing this? So yeah, first of all, it was really fun for us, and we could grow as a team and could really, yeah, really enjoy the event, even though it was a lot of work. And where second, we could connect with other groups, other people, other climate movements in our city by giving them a platform to speak at our events. So then already weeks later, we got invited to other demonstrations, other platforms where we could again spread our message. And yeah, lastly, we could, by organizing this event, really raise awareness, of course, in our hometown, in our own city, and also feel our personal impact that we could have. We are just a couple of medical students, but still we could really make a difference there, make an impact, and set this topic, which was so important to us, on the agenda. So I highly encourage you to also step out into the world. And we saw so many examples here today that you can really make a difference. And it doesn't have to be a demonstration, but this is one example, one way to go. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. After so much input, we're interested actually in your vision of planetary health and your next step towards action, actually, as I already mentioned earlier. And Felix is going to share another Mentimeter, but we're not going to share the results yet today. You can see it actually on our social media channel on Instagram if you follow Health for Future. We don't have a Planetary Health Academy channel, but we have a Health for Future channel where you can also find really interesting information, and which Leah is responsible for, and some others as well. So you will have 1 minute for the first question, and then the second question will appear. And as I said, the results we're going to share with you online after this lecture and in the following days, not today anymore actually. And I will hand over to Martin.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. So we had planned to have a video now from Anna Borell, who has been doing great work with students and pupils in many schools in Gambia.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anna, and I'm based in the Gambia with the Medical Research
Unit Gambia at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and I'm really excited to talk to you about some of the work that we've been doing here and some of the work that we're planning to do in the next few months. So this work is really inspired by the youth movement that has swept the world and how effective they've been at getting their messages out there and what a powerful force they've been. And sort of building on that, we really felt that we would like to engage with the youth here in the Gambia and inspire them and teach them and learn from them about their experience of what environmental issues, climate change means to them. So there's 3 different events that I'm going to be talking about. One was a school arts competition. One was targeted at a particular school called Earth Day Every Day. And the other is an event that we're planning for later this year, which hopefully will happen in May. So first of all, last year, the MRCG held the first Planetary Health Conference in West Africa. And around that time, we also invited all schools to participate in a art competition where the students could submit their artwork inspired by anything related to climate change and environmental impacts. And so this is a few pictures of the winners. They got to demonstrate their artwork at the Planetary Health Conference and got to meet some of the delegates there and were presented an award from the Ministry of Environment. And moving on to the Earth Day Every Day, this was an interactive workshop that targeted 10 to 13-year-olds. And this word art gives you the answers that they came up with when we asked them, what does climate change mean to you? So this was at the beginning when we really wanted to understand what they already knew about it. And then we ran 3 interactive workshops, which looked a little bit like this. So this was my colleague Pauline teaching the kids a song about water scarcity and water usage and which plants use least water and maybe would be most effective in drought situations. We had another session where we discussed plastic pollution and how plastic can impact on marine life, and then they got to experiment themselves with how to clean the plastic. And we had another session discussing heat and air pollution and the impacts on health from that. And at the end of our day, we had a quiz, and the 10 winners of the quiz were each given a digital camera to record anything that resonated with them in relation to climate change. And so these are a few pictures of this is, so first of all, this is what they came up as their take-home message from our 3 workshop sessions. So it was really about what they wanted to do and moving forward. And then here are some of the pictures that the winners produced. So sort of documenting their local environment. So here you see a cat hiding in amongst all of this rubbish. This is a picture of the estuary where there's a lot of problems with water and mangroves being lost and increasing salt intrusion. And again, another picture of the problems with rubbish and plastic pollution, which was a very common theme in their photos for what it meant to them. And then again, the winners, who all happened to be girls, so we had 10 girl winners from our quiz, came, they joined the delegates, and they had a session where all the delegates came and they could discuss their photos and talk to them about what they had found. So those are the events that we've run. And what we're planning to run this year, which we've already started to organise, is a science festival, which will be focusing on locally relevant solutions to the impacts of humans on the environment. So we called it Climate Change Equals Time to Change, and we've already approached 50 schools, and they have been asked to submit their ideas, where they will be given the opportunity to engage, run their own stall where they will do experiments. We will help provide the equipment, but demonstrating solutions to impacts of climate change that they have locally. And then we were also going to invite some NGOs and some scientists local to the area. And we hope that this will be a successful event, but we're still very much in the planning stage of this. So this was the poster for all of the schools that we sent, like really focusing on the solutions that they will come up with. We went and visited, this is Jennifer, one of my colleagues on the left, who visited all of the 50 schools and spoke to all of the head teachers, having met with the director of the Ministry of Education to agree that this was something that they wanted to partner with us on, and to get their guidance on who we should approach and whether this was going to work. Having visited all the schools and given them their template for their application, we have now begun to engage with the NGOs. So we met with Suleiman Bojang last week, who's an environmentalist and youth activist, and he is planting coconut trees at the beach with kids, and also has a campaign where he wants every school child during the course of their schooling to plant and be responsible for growing a tree. And so he started to do that, and we were really grateful for the opportunity to meet with him, and we discussed some of the ideas that he would like to do in his stall. So he's planning an experiment where the kids will see different types of soil and which trees will grow better in different soils. He'll talk about the benefits of trees in terms of to the environment and for human health. And he'll also show how water can run through different types of soils at different rates. So the benefit of trees and the protection that they give in terms of absorbing water. So we're very excited to see all of that coming together. And we hope that we will end up with a fantastic event that was really focused on children and focused on helping them learn. And we will invite local schools from our area to attend the festival for 1 to 2 days. And then after that, we will hope to produce a technical summary to give back to all of the schools for their benefit as well. So that's what our work is, and we're really happy that we've had the opportunity to work with some great people so far, and are always happy to collaborate on anything going forward. Thank you very much.
So now I'm very excited and very pleased to introduce Sabine Gabrysch as our final kind of graduation speaker. Last time we had Johan Röckströms, this time it is Sabine Gabrysch. I think you're all aware that without her, we probably wouldn't have started so early with our focus on planetary health, because once she got a planetary health infection, she was a very inspirational speaker about it. And she also gave the first very important planetary health lecture in March 2019. I think she's for all of us a major inspiration and a great support for the Planetary Health Academy team. So Sabine, I'm very happy that you agreed to give this final graduation talk to all of us. Over to you.
Thank you, Martin. I'm quite honored to be chosen to say some words now in this final session after all these impressive presentations. And I came up with 3 small pieces of advice and encouragement that I hope could maybe be helpful. And I structured them along knowledge, attitude, and practice. So first on knowledge, we all learned a lot of new things during this academy through talks, and hopefully also through the conversations that we have with people that we met. And obviously planetary health is not a closed body of knowledge, but it's quite open and developing, and it has a lot of different aspects and layers, and some of which we explore together during this series. And it's not just knowledge of facts, but actually it's more the framing of things, like to see the world from a different perspective and understand the connections. And to me, that is what makes it so powerful. And in the health field, often the perspective is quite individualistic, looking at the person in isolation. And in science, it's often quite reductionist, decomposing living beings into their components, a kind of microscope perspective, and planetary health takes more this macroscope perspective of health, a systems view, zooming out to see the whole planet with the climate crisis and biodiversity crisis, etc., and then zooming in again to see individual human beings and their health, and down to the microbes and how this is all linked together in a complex way. And the more we study and read and hear and discuss, and the more we put this into action, the more our own understanding deepens. And in a way, this new perspective actually only comes to life when we act on it. And for myself, I'm also still learning. And I recently found actually that it's not easy to explain planetary health sometimes to other scientists outside of the health field also. And like, why is it so special? And why do I believe it's so powerful? So my piece of encouragement here is keep asking questions, keep digging, keep searching, zooming in and out and looking for connections and looking at things in a new way. And then the second bit on attitude. So the more I discuss with others and deepen my understanding, the more I realize that at the core of the planetary crisis is our relationship to nature, our attitude towards nature. In German, we have this nice word Haltung, which means posture, position, attitude, mindset. And our attitude towards nature is often that of a conqueror or a colonial ruler, a dominator. So regarding the natural world and all other species as a pile of resources just for us, to be exploited for any whim of ours. And not realizing that we are one part of nature, one living part of this intricate web of life on this beautiful blue planet. And as we damage the whole, we suffer as well. And instead, we kind of need an attitude of awe and connectedness. And this exploitative culture is not just exploiting nature, but also other human beings, who we call human resources. And we're even exploiting ourselves, our own resources, while we're trying to keep up with the ever increasing speed of the crazy world machinery that we have built. And many of the people I met in the context of Klug and Health for Future and at planetary health conferences, they tell with shining eyes how wonderful the interactions with others have been in these groups, how inspiring and supportive and caring. And I think this is really important, that we try to live the change that we want to see in the world already in our own groups. And this includes taking care of each other and also of ourselves. So being aware that our own energy is limited and that we need to regenerate, sleep well, eat well, exercise. And also I'm personally often struggling with finding that balance. And I found that it's helpful if you get a feeling for what takes and what gives you energy, and engaging in things that are close to your heart and talking to inspiring, like-minded people can give a lot of strength. And doing meaningful things together, having fun together and treating each other respectfully and building structures to support each other. And some of these examples have also shown that. Actually, the Psychologists for Future also exist. They have really good advice on their website. It's called Support for Committed People, if you want to Google them. So I think we should strive for an attitude of taking care of nature, of each other, and of ourselves. And then the third bit on practice. So the subtitle of the Planetary Health Academy is From Knowledge to Transformative Action. And we've just heard these wonderful examples from active people from all corners of the world, ranging from medical students in Germany to community change in Indonesia. And Margaret Mead, the anthropologist, once said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And I think it's incredibly encouraging to see the movement that has been building up, starting with Greta's school striking in Stockholm in 2018 to the Global Fridays for Future strikes with millions of people in 2019, and now the Health for Future movement with so many of you. And I can also still pinpoint the day when I realized something big was happening. That was March 15th, 2019, when I gave my first talk on planetary health that Martin made me do in Berlin. And then after that, we attended the Fridays for Future strike. And that I realized how incredibly committed and well-informed many of these young students were, and I really felt the spirit of what was going on there. And I'm deeply impressed and inspired by all the people who take things in their hands, who get involved and act and empower themselves and talk to politicians, do demonstrations, do all these things and try to make a change in the world. And all of you who are already active in some way, and those who have presented today and many others, I want to congratulate you and encourage you to persist, to be bold, to be aware of your power, and to be a true change agent. And every action of every individual counts, however small. And those who have not yet started to act but are thinking about it, I want to encourage you to join the movement, to find other like-minded people and get active together. We need each one of you to transform the world into a better place. And acting together is the most rewarding thing that you can also do for yourself. And the state of our planet is, in a way, it's grim, with so many species dying out and climate risks rising and getting closer to tipping points. But social change is also not linear, as we've also seen in that curve of the architecture for future. There are also social tipping points when a critical mass has been reached, and change can be very fast once the momentum has started. So we have to be persistent and be creative and be ready and watch for opportunities and keep our eyes sort of on our guiding star and trust that unexpected things will happen and that other people will support and we will find a way. So do get active, be bold and empower yourself. That's the practice part. And while you keep asking questions, deepening your understanding and see the world from a new angle, the knowledge bit, and with an attitude of taking care of nature, each other, and yourself. Thank you for being part of that.
Thank you very much, Sabine. And I can just share, because there has been a lot of thanks, or many thanks as well from the chat and from the audience for your really, really nice words. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can just agree to Martin, because I think without you, we wouldn't have started the lecture series, and we wouldn't have called it Planetary Health Academy. Maybe something like Climate Change and Health Academy, but not Planetary Health Academy, that's for sure. So yeah, I don't know, Martin, if you want to say something else, because otherwise I would say, because you're still muted, Martin, we can't hear.
I was very touched by what Sabine was saying, and I feel myself that the dimensions of planetary health are opening up much deeper and much bigger than ever before, just in the last days. And I think it's very important for us to see, and also to spread this word, that we are just beginning. We are just beginning, and we take this very serious, and we make this together. I want to share a word that Harald Lesch is oftentimes saying, is one of our friends also. He's saying, beisammen, das ist das Glück. Togetherness, this is happiness. And acting together is kind of the cream on the ice cream on top. And this is what we do together. And so I'm just very touched by the examples from today, and I'm very much looking forward to what we will build in the next phase. And Sylvia, you will share a bit what we're intending to do with the next lecture series. We are just beginning. I feel it for myself, and I feel it with many of you, and we are in steep learning curves and in steep curves of kind of building more cooperations and partnerships and kind of new ideas and innovations. So this is what this is all about, and we will move on. Thank you very much to all of you. You're a huge inspiration for us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, what are we going to do next? So there's the first Planetary Health Academy workshop, and we're probably going to do this a little bit more often actually in the next time as well. And Hannah just posted it into the chat. It's going to be about movement building. So if you feel lost next week or and you don't know what to do on Wednesday, join our workshop. We'll be there waiting for you. And otherwise, we're going to do another lecture series, of course, probably starting in May. And as I said and mentioned in the beginning, we're really happy if you send us your evaluation, your feedback. What did you like? What did you miss? And yeah, what shall we continue doing? And what should we stop directly? And yeah, also, if you want to contact us for any help or whatever, you want to get connected with someone, don't hesitate and write us an email. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And last but not least, actually, I also wanted to thank the team, Sophie, Felix, Leah, and Hannah, because with all of them, this wouldn't have worked out the way it did. So a big thank you and like applause to them as well. Thank you very much. And of course, also thank you to the audience for participating and for sending us all your input. Actually, we also get way more input for transformational examples. We couldn't show them all because otherwise we would have stood here like 2 hours more or even 3. So maybe we will find another way to share it at another session and or engage with you. And yeah, I don't know. I'm running out of words, Martin. So you need to.
I think it's good to end with silence.
Then let's do that. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you very much to all of you.